I felt like a big city person being in Chicago this past weekend. It was like all the tall buildings.
How was the run?
It was hot. Oh my gosh, it was so
Yeah.
hot. They almost had to call it off. It got so hot and humid. People
Really?
yeah, they got to a red on the like there's a scale of like green, yellow, red, black on the danger level, and it got to the race, and yeah, so it was pretty miserable. I saw people getting carted away by paramedics at about mile 18. I was like, Lord, please help that not be me.
Wow.
Just please let me make it to the finish line, so I have no idea. I'm going to end up in the hospital. I'm a big ER fan, or used to be. I was like, I'm in Cook County. I don't even know if I'm close to Cook in general.
Right.
Exists, if that's fake. I'm gonna be in there with all the fake doctors. But we did go on the L a bunch of times. I did see the L. I didn't get on the L, but I ran over.
Yeah, no, that would be no fun to run when it's that hot. That's
oh man, yeah, it was the hottest day. And the whole thing is like you get there Friday night, the race is Sunday, and Saturday was a little 5K run. And so it's on. This is a bigger deal than any race I've ever done because like it's on the TV. Like every newscast talking about Chicago Marathon. In every newscast, like this is going to be the hottest Chicago Marathon since 2007. And
you're like, no.
We're into the race. I'm like, shut up! I'm already about to die. I'm so nervous about this thing. And I mean, every news story is like every 30 minutes. Will the Chicago Marathon go on? It's so hot and humid on Sunday. October's over. I'm like, shut up.
Oh, that's the worst.
News people, but it was fine. It was a lot of fun. But it was great. Crowds were great. It was awesome. But yeah, just you could always tell. Here's the thing: you can always tell people like me that are not from like New York or Chicago or like major metropolitan areas because my neck was sore because I just kept looking up.
Looking up, yeah.
Those buildings are so tall. Like I thought downtown St. Louis has tall buildings. Not even close.
It's such a beautiful city. Like so great. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. It was because I mean we have like 7 tall buildings. They're not
right.
We have a rule like buildings are not allowed to be taller than the arch, and the arch is 630 feet tall. So we can't have any buildings taller than 62 stories. Obviously, the ones in Chicago are like 1,000 feet.
Oh, tall. They're so tall. The Philadelphia used to have that rule with the William Penn statue, if you remember it from the movie Rocky. If you watch the first Rocky, everything's below William Penn. And then if you watch like more of the recent ones, they broke that rule like in the mid 80s. And so now it's got a lot more high rises and stuff.
They played that song about mile 8.
Yes. Never gets old, man. It's such a good one.
I was like, oh yeah.
Yep.
I was like, please. Going to be like 7,000 steps coming up here and like that
right. See, now you got to get out to Philly. You got to get out to the East Coast, man. Time to get out of the Midwest. You got to try some new things.
And in Philly one night, we went to the vet for opening day. They were booing Pete Rose with the third inning. I was like, my hero. They're booing him opening day in St. Louis.
Great.
You could commit 7 errors and we'll still cheer for you.
Cheer like, yeah, great job.
We're polite.
That's the Midwest.
Oh my God, Pete Rose.
Good stuff.
Pete. Everybody back then in 83. Anyway, yeah, Tanya, I would totally do it. It's awesome. People were just cheering you constantly. It was great. If it wasn't so hot, it would have been perfect. Okay. You're here for Disney. Let's do this. So this is number 1982.
Wow.
You say it Kirsten, right? Kristin. You can tell I'm an old school teacher.
Yeah.
I always get the wrong pronunciation.
You got it.
Aaron. Is there an Aaron here?
Aaron. Yep. So good.
I won't be able to keep it together now that I said that in my head. Here. Oh my God. Aaron pops into the chat sometimes. And then all right. It's Chris. But now I totally forgot. What is it?
Kristin.
I'm making this harder than it needs to be. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. Welcome to episode 1982 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great fall weekend. Here in St. Louis, fall finally got here. Now, we know it wasn't here last weekend when I was up in Chicago. It decided to be like July when we had to run the Chicago Marathon. But this past weekend, lows in the 40s, highs in the 60s. Yes. Now we're talking. So it was a great weekend. Hope it was for you as well. but it's time to get back to the grind, get back to work, and making that money so we can go to the places that we love. And we're headed back to Walt Disney World virtually. And today you are in for a treat. We're not doing a quick Run Disney weekend getaway trip where we're staying at All-Star Sports and, shower and sleep there. And that's it. No. We're doing a deluxe trip today. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're heading out to South Jersey today with Kristin. Kristin, thanks for joining us. What's going on today?
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. I've been listening for such a long time and I've been dying to do this. So this is really exciting.
Well, I know that this was a delayed show because this was a delayed trip, right? I mean, all of us have experienced this in the past, almost 2 years at this point. I can't believe it's been that long, but
for sure.
Talk to us about that, the disappointment of having to delay the trip that you took this past August, but kind of the circumstances of how this all kind of went down for you.
Sure. So we went to we go to Walt Disney World every February for usually a 4-day trip. And in late February of 2020, we went for just a quick 48 hours and it was awesome. We had such a great time and we just knew it was great. So we were planning on going back in August of 2020 and we were going to buy annual passes. And our daughter was supposed to run a cross-country event in October down there. We were going to take her for her 16th birthday. Then we were going to go again in February and then squeeze in one more spring trip. And all of it went to hell. So, so we wound up having to hold on tight for this trip. So when we were making our plans, we said, since we didn't get to do it last time, we're really going to go big on this one. And we just knew that there probably wouldn't be any discounts or anything, but we were willing to take it because it was kind of our delayed 1.5+ year trip. So that's how we wound up.
And we're seeing that a lot, right? I mean, people had to give up so much during the pandemic and during the shutdowns that, we're kind of splurging a little bit coming out of it. A lot of us said, man, I wish I would have or could have had that opportunity. And it sounds like you had a really big year planned. So it's a shame, but we'll make up for those. Some things you can't make up for. I know some kids lost out on proms and, walking to graduation. I still feel terrible about that, but you do what you can, right? You try to make up things like that the best you can. So let me ask you this. What's your background as a Disney fan? I mean, why do you listen to Disney podcasts? Why do you like going to places like Walt Disney World?
Oh, it's my favorite place just ever. Favorite human-made place. We did our first family trip in 1987 when I was 10, and my grandparents went with us and they bought a timeshare. So then we started going down every couple of years, not a DVC. They were outside of the park. And then, but we always stayed outside of the park. And it wasn't until 2007 that we stayed for the first time on property. And that was at Shades of Green because my brother-in-law's in the Coast Guard. So there were about a dozen of us who went, and then different family kind of popped in and out. And that's when we realized, like, whoa, this is awesome to be just in the bubble the whole time. And from then on, we've pretty much gone every single year. We've gone for bachelorette parties. We've gone for just my 40th birthday. We celebrated 5 years ago. And we've had adults only trips, kid trips. And so now we just have to go all the time. So my husband knows that's the deal. We go to Disney every year, no matter what.
So before we hop into this particular trip from August, we're split, and we're going to talk about Wilderness Lodge and the Polynesian, two amazing places we're going to jump into right away. But talking about those trips from the past, is there any stories that stick out? I mean, you mentioned bachelorette parties, adults only trips. You have to have like a story.
So good. So
I mean, I got to ask.
One of my favorite story from there, and to me, this is like defines Walt Disney World. So we went for my sister's bachelorette party. There were 12 girls who came down. So we had 3 rooms at Coronado. And we're just trying to be kind of economical. So Coronado was perfect, but the vibe there is just so chill. And it's just real easy and just a great time. So this was back in 2010. So Saturday night, we went out. Now, Cat Cora's was a restaurant that was still open in Disney Springs, downtown Disney. So we went to Cat Cora's. Then we went to the piano bar. Had a great time. And then we got back to the room, and it was probably like 2 a.m. or so that we started having a dance party in the room. So we were just having a great time. And at about 3:30 or 4 a.m, the security knocked on the door and they were like, listen, ladies, the people downstairs are complaining, but don't stop your good time. Follow us out to the pool and you can keep the party going out there. So that's what we did. So we didn't even have to end the party. I actually went to bed at that point, but half of the crew went out. They took the music, the security guard led them out to the pool, showed them where they could plug in their tunes. and everybody went swimming for the next like 2-3 hours during the night. And it was just awesome. It was like, why end the fun? And that's kind of what Disney World has been for us.
It's kind of a pit bull, apparently, was your security guard.
For sure. Yeah. With the golf cart. It was great.
That is awesome. Next time I'm next to somebody booming up 3 a.m, I'm like, oh, bachelorette party. What I know.
Yeah.
No, I love hearing that. You know, try to accommodate, keep everybody happy.
Yeah. Don't end the party. Keep having fun. And I mean, it was good.
I always think of Coronado as a sleepy little hotel. Well, that's a funny story because you never know. You could have a little bit in Keck Chorus. God, I haven't thought about that place in
a
decade probably. It's a
I know.
All right, well, let's hop into this trip from Pat. Sure. You know, it was delayed. So talk to us about why you picked these 2 resorts, kind of in the planning. You picked Wilderness Lodge, you picked the Polynesian.
We did.
Why? Was it a theme thing? Did you have a family vote on it? How'd this go?
No. Well, so we love Wilderness Lodge. We probably stayed there more than anywhere else. And it's got sentimental value for us. We stayed with my whole family. We stayed before we had my son. We have a 16-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son, and then my husband and I. So we just love Wilderness, and you usually can get a pretty good deal price-wise on it, comparatively speaking, for the deluxes. And we're Magic Kingdom people, so we just want to be nearby. And then the Poly, we just love. Like, we've gotten to stay there one other time. And that was actually a totally free trip from Walt Disney World, because we had a trip for my 40th, and the rooms were a little dodgy over at Boardwalk, and my sister cried, and they gave us all a free deluxe trip anywhere we wanted to stay. So we stayed at the Polynesian once on a deluxe with a theme park view room. This was just a regular old, whatever the lowest level of the room is, but we knew we wanted to stay at the Poly again. So that's kind of how we wound up there. And we were stuck between, we only had like 10 days in the summer we could do it, because basically last summer's things got pushed into this summer. Our son plays baseball, so he was traveling for tournament baseball. So and our daughter runs cross country for high school. So we had one 10-day stretch that we could go. And so that was like August 13th to the 23rd was what we wound up with.
As a dad with 2 daughters who played competitive sports and still do, I totally get it.
Yes.
You're lucky.
Yep.
If you get a 10-day window, you're sometimes very lucky to get even that. But yeah, totally get it. So now you mentioned though that you guys started out by going down to Port Canaveral to the Kennedy Center. So talk to us about that real quick.
So we drove from New Jersey. So we drove down. We left Friday night. My husband drove all night long, and we went directly to the Kennedy Space Center. So that was about a 15-hour drive from where we are in New Jersey. And we knew that on this trip, because we were going for so long and we were going to have our car, we wanted to get to the Space Center. We hadn't gotten a chance to do that since both my husband and I were kids. We were like 10 years old when we each went. So we got straight there, and it was fantastic. Like, what a great 2-3 hour visit. We took advantage of the IMAX movies. We walked around, saw the rockets, and then you take the big bus out to the launch pad. They don't really take you to the launch pad anymore, but you go past it, and then you go to just the huge cargo bay where the space shuttle is. And there's just a tremendous movie before that explains the history of the space program. And then it just opens up, and there you are at the shuttle. And it was just mind blowing. So, but we knew we didn't want to do that in the middle of our Disney trip. So that was why we had to do it right at the beginning before everybody was all Disneyed. And we were there for like, 2-3 hours, just enough. It was perfect, and had some lunch. And I think we all fell asleep in the second IMAX movie we watched, so we knew it was time to go. And right about while we were there, we got our message saying that our room was ready at the Wilderness Lodge. So, that was only a short hour and a half ride to get over to Walt Disney World. And so it was fantastic. It was a great way to start.
That's the way to do it too, because what I've heard from a lot of Disney fans that visit Kennedy Space Center is that because visiting Atlantis, which is one of the orbiters that they put on display, that they have, it's not just you like walk around it and you check it out. There's a whole multimedia presentation. Almost every Disney fan that sees it, and I have not yet, and it's killing me. I just haven't gotten over that. I saw the last launch. I was there on press row as a guest of NASA, did something with social media. But the thing is, everybody says it's very much put together like a Disney presentation. It's emotional. So if you're a Disney fan, everybody says you got to go see it, and I still need to. I feel bad that I haven't. So now we're real quick with it. Were any of the Disney ships in port while you're over there? Did you see the any of the ships?
No, we didn't notice any of the ships while we were there, and I'm not sure if anything was even in port, but we were pretty tunnel vision.
Yeah.
We were like, we got in, time to turn around, and time to head out down to Walt Disney World.
Yeah, once you get that text, man. Yeah, so you gotta get that room. Okay, so you guys head down to, I think it's called the B line or something. I can't remember, over to the Walt Disney World. So you guys get to Wilderness Lodge. Tell us about the room, the accommodations there.
The whole thing was just fantastic. I mean, we have this tradition where we play the music from Happily Ever After as we drive into the park. Nice. We got to the sign. I mean, I was just crying. I was so excited. My daughter and I just both, like, we're all fans, but my daughter and I have a real special connection that we just do everything Disney. So the two of us were like, oh my God, we're here. And then we got in, and our room was just fantastic. We were overlooking the pool, like in the 400 wing. It was just a beautiful room. The upgrades that they did, the refurbishments on those rooms were really sharp, and everything feels very crisp and clean. And there's a lot of, obviously all of the convenience factors of like the ports and things like that are great, but it felt really wonderful, but it still maintained that Wilderness Lodge feel of comfort, and I would say the only bummer was that they had to put the stupid masks back in while we were there. And I understand it. I mean, we're a public school teacher, like I get it, but that smell of the Wilderness Lodge is one of my favorite things about walking through the lobby. And like, I was like, oh, like I kept like sneaking my mask down so I could catch the smell. But the room was just awesome. So we were overlooking the pool. Within like 10 minutes, we were already down at the pool. And we used mobile order constantly. So I think we mobile ordered snacks and drinks, right away. And it was great. And then that night we went over to Geyser Point, which was exactly the plan. We put our name in on the mobile wait list and got in. And I will say a tip for that one. The mobile wait list sometimes gives you a time, and it seems like it's going to be a distant time. And then every so often they'll send you a message. It's like, your table's ready in 5 minutes. So there were a couple of occasions that we were like, oh, I've got time for a shower. I've got time to like relax. And then, I'd hear this knock on the door like, hey, the table's ready. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just washing my hair. So you have to just, kind of be aware of that. But yeah, it was just fantastic. So that was our first night, and we were wiped out because of doing a full overnight drive, especially.
And that's the way to do that first night, though, too. Like, get to your hotel and enjoy the amenities of the hotel. Don't force a theme park day because, I mean, for one thing, theme park days wear you out even worse. But I mean, like you say, you're at a deluxe resort. I talked about this on this past Wednesday show. Wilderness Lodge has such a great pool. It's amazing. You got the geyser right there that spurts out every 15 minutes or so. The Point is just an awesome place to dine.
Yeah.
I mean, you were there in the summer, but I mean, even in the summer, you get undercover and it's not as hot, even though you're outside, it's not hot. It's got TVs, great food, great drinks. I mean, you're on vacation at that point. Finally, after the long drive, boom, you're settled in a little bit. You're on vacation. So walk us through how the next few days go. So you guys obviously go to the parks the next day and get.
Yeah, we did, park days, every day we had an 8-day pass. So we started at the Magic Kingdom and then we went kind of park to park. But, what was one of our priorities was to see the fireworks as many times as we could. So we caught them that Sunday night, right from the front, and they were just awesome. And what was nice about that was the park was still open after them. So we got to just kind of zip around and do some more things. We ate at Skipper Canteen. Highly recommend. It was fantastic.
I always forget about that place. Yeah. There's a few places at Walt Disney World that I like it, and I just forget it's there. That's one of the places.
Yeah, It was absolutely fantastic. And, something that we noticed across all the parks was that the crowds were just much lower than we anticipated in that stretch. And that let us just go on all the rides. And our son, before this trip, had always been a little nervous about some of the roller coasters. We kind of forced him on when he was really little and scared him. And so he took a break, but this trip, he really rediscovered roller coasters. So like that first day, we started off at Space Mountain and then we ended at Space Mountain, and he just was so excited and just wanted to go on it, again and again. And the next day at the studios, like Rock and Roller Coaster became his favorite ride. And our daughter already loved all those things. So now like she and her brother, I can only do it once or twice before I get sick.
Same.
Yeah,
more than once.
Yeah. Even with Dramamine, I mean, I take a Dramamine every single morning before I even get on the ferry boat, and that saves my life. But he loved it. And so those two just did that, over and over again. And that was kind of like the whole vibe of the trip. The next day when we went to the studios, it was just so hot. And we're in South Jersey. Like it gets warm here, but there was something about that humidity in Florida that was, oh my God, I thought we were going to die in Toy Story Land in the middle of the day. And you're just, covered in sweat. So at that point, nothing more good was happening with our life, but we were too far from wilderness. So we were like, what are we going to do? So we got on the gondolas, and then we quick added a park hopper on our tickets, and we rode over to Epcot, and we just had the most wonderful Epcot afternoon because nobody was there. So, we walked onto Soarin' twice, and which was just a blast, and got to just do all these great things, plus also get all the food and wine snacks. And it was just great. And then we gondoled back over to Hollywood Studios for later in the day, got to go on Mickey and Minnie's. What a fantastic ride. And, it was just super. You really could not get it any better than what we experienced.
That's a pretty sweet audible there too, because you're right. I mean, Epcot's going to offer you more indoor, long, because you could stay in the land for quite a while.
Exactly.
Moving with the land, grab something in Sunshine Seasons. I've done that just instead of rain or out of the heat. I mean, I've gotten by and just chilled out there.
Yeah,
exactly. And you could, I mean, Spaceship Earth, there's a good 30 minutes. And you're, I mean,
absolutely.
That's right. But you hear the thing, like when you said, just add it on a park hopper, made me a little nervous, but you're early in the trip and you're there for such an extended time. You're good. You wouldn't want to do that on like day 6.
No.
Because it's the same price, whether you're adding it on day 8 or day 1. So early in the trip, okay. See, I just try to think about that as a planner. You did it early, so you're all right there.
Yeah, cool. And that was kind of our plan. Like when we initially bought our tickets, all we really want, like for this trip, we were like, come on, baby, no masks outside. So that was like, check. And then the second wish was like, come on, let's get annual passes. Because our plan was to upgrade our tickets while we were there. And son of a gun, they didn't open while we were there. But so that was why we were like, let's just buy the single day tickets. And then once we're there, if we really want to do it, we'll just upgrade right away. And you can do all that at guest services. So it was easy. And, it was great. And speaking of even that, like the Dramamine thing, I found years ago, if you forget, you can just walk over to First Aid and they'll just give it to you for free. So you never have to be motion sick. Like just go get a free tablet. You can go on the teacups. You can watch all the virtual rides and everybody's happy and nobody's vomiting. So
if you think about it, that probably makes a lot more sense for them to give you one little pill than to deal with the alternative.
Exactly. Right.
Everybody's happier that way. Yeah, exactly.
Totally. Yeah. So that really saved us, that gondola ride, the trip to Epcot. It was perfect.
So now, are you guys typically the kind of folks that don't take midday breaks? I mean, are you like, you go in the morning and you're there till the fireworks, or you're at these deluxe resorts. I would think you would go back midday and chill, but maybe not.
No. So it depends. Like when we go in February, most of the time we will go open to close because the weather's so pleasant. Like you can do it. Yeah, this trip, the only day we did that was that Monday. And I think it was just because we were over at the studios and we were like, we're a little, the buses are not our favorite thing. So we were trying to avoid that. All the other days we went back and did a midday break and it was awesome. And we got to the parks pretty much every day before park open. And then we would come back around like 12:30. Sometimes we'd eat lunch in the park and sometimes we just come back to the resort and get some lunch and then swim for the afternoon. We really managed to dodge weather somehow. We just got really lucky because we've been in the summer before where you don't dodge the weather and you're in that poncho it just feels like you're not getting anywhere. And this was fantastic. So, I mean, we saw fireworks. These were just great. We saw them Sunday night from the Magic Kingdom. We saw them Tuesday night from the California Grill because we ate there. We eat there every time. We saw them Thursday from the beach at the Polynesian. Nice. And that was epic. people were singing behind us. Like, it was just so fun. We saw them Saturday night by Cosmic Rays, so kind of off to the side while we were eating. And then we saw them Sunday again the night before we were leaving, right back from in the front of the castle. And there we met up with my sister and her 3 kids. And we all watched them together and cried. And I mean, I cry all the way through Happily Ever After every time. The new fireworks show on the least virtual did not give me a single emotional feeling. So
that's actually what I was getting ready to ask you. Like, obviously you sound like you're like a Happily Ever After super fan, right?
Super fan.
Yeah. You know what? It grew on me. Like, I was a Wishes super fan. But,
we were too. We love Wishes. Super fan.
Scott and I have had this discussion because we talk about crazy stuff like this. We're on long runs, or we're doing these fun Disney things, or when we're doing stupid stuff like we do. It's like he has a theory, and I agree with this theory, is that you're a super fan of the show that was playing when you kind of came into the fandom, right? Like when I first started really going to Walt Disney World, Spectromagic was the nighttime parade, and Wishes was the fireworks show.
Yes.
This is when I was taking Paige when she was little. Now Paige is 25 now.
Right.
But this is when she was 6, and 4. And every night we'd watch Spectromagic, we'd get some curb, we'd get some ice cream, watch the parade, we'd watch fireworks, and we'd go ride a few more rides. That was how our summers wrapped up every summer. We do that a couple nights every summer. And so that's why I had that attachment to Wishes. And then when Happily Ever After, I was like, I'm trying to take out my wish. But then the more I watched it, I loved it. And then, of course, I had to love it. Then take it away. I'm mad. I do love Enchantment. Enchantment is a solid show. If you get a good spot right in front of the partner statue, it's a great show. I get what you're saying, but Harmonious, that one I can't say I love a lot.
Okay.
Illuminations is my all-time favorite. So I still, maybe it's got to take a little time to grow on me. It hasn't had that time. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but I mean, yeah, it's one of those things though. When people ask us why we're Disney fans, it's one of those things that we cannot put into words. What you're saying right now. You saw it from Cosmic Rays. You saw it from the beach. You saw it from at a restaurant. You saw it, it's important to us, and it was important to your family. And I'm glad that you got to make those memories before it went away. That's pretty cool.
It really was a priority. Like, that was such a celebration when they brought it back. I walked around my school. I was like, fireworks are back. Like, everybody knew that the trip was coming. Everybody knew how excited I was. I wear my mini ears all over when I'm now a master teacher. So I just coach all the teachers, and I've got my ears on all the time. Like, it's pretty known. So the fireworks announcement was clutch. That was pretty great. It was epic. Yeah.
Teachers get excited about small things.
We do.
I was in the classroom. I get that forever. Yeah. Okay. So now, when you guys hop over to the Polynesian, let me ask you this, because I get a lot of questions about this in travel agent, this, for guests in general that are out there planning trips with the split. One thing I caution folks to remember, that when you're doing a split stay, and especially for runners, sometimes runners want to do this on a race weekend. I say don't do it on a race weekend because it goes too fast. And sometimes you're got all your stuff, you're running, you're sweating, you need a shower. You feel kind of homeless there for a little bit on that switch day. Now, how did you guys handle? Now, if you're just going to the parks all day, it's not really a big deal. I mean, if you plan it out, the split isn't a big deal at all. How did you guys handle the change from the Wilderness Lodge over to the Polynesian? How'd that go?
So it was pretty great. What helped us a little was that we had our car. So that was really good.
Storage unit. Yeah, it's basically like
yeah, exactly. So we didn't have to depend on any of the concierge or anything to send the bags over. But what was really neat, because our kids, like I said, are 12 and 16, and we've been coming to Walt Disney World basically since they could remember life. So they actually left early that morning. They went over to the parks by themselves to the Magic Kingdom on the ferry boat. They had already packed their bags. My husband and I took our time, got some breakfast, packed our bags, put everything in the car, and then we headed back over to the Magic Kingdom and met up with our kids for a couple of hours till about mid-morning, at which point we all ferried back over to our car, drove to the Poly, and the room was ready a little bit early in the afternoon. So we were able to get right in and bring our bags, and it was fine. What I will say, though, is this, again, another thing to just always remember. The first room we got at the Polynesian was terrible. It was clean, it was fine, but it was right inside of the opening doors of one of the buildings. The construction walls were right outside of our back on the patio, and it was on the first floor. And I don't care for a first floor. It just was bad. And I was like, holy monkey, for the amount of money we are paying for this room, there's got to be something better. So I walked up to the desk and, very politely just asked, is there something else we could do? And the person right away was like, oh yeah, I'll put you where I put my friends. Put us in this just fantastic room, 3rd floor corner, right close in the building closest to in Tuvalu, closest to the Grand Floridian, along the beach. We weren't theme park side, but the room right across from us was a theme park view room. And we just moved our bags right there. And that wound up being perfect. So, you know, I would just say if you're not happy with something, you really should just ask, because if we had just stayed there, I think the whole time we would have been kind of grumpy about like, you know, oh, this room, why'd we spend so much money on this room? And instead we wound up in this just wonderful situation. And the cast member, I mean, it could not have been easier for them to do it for us.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I always tell my guests too, is that, you know, if you're not happy with the room assignment, don't be afraid to speak up to the cast member politely. And a lot of times you have to wait sometimes for another room to come available, because sometimes maybe another room isn't ready quite yet. But if you're willing to wait another hour, you know, maybe go have something at the food court, or, you know, do some shopping or whatever, they can usually work with you. I mean, you know, they want you to be happy, and, you know, everybody's trying to buy what they want. Yeah, it's good advice. It's good advice.
Yeah, it was, and it was great. And like, I mean, we made a point to thank the cast member again, and it just really made everything so much better. So at that point, we just really took advantage of the Polynesian. I mean, we ate at Ohana that night. Fantastic. If anybody's, you know, lukewarm on Ohana because maybe they don't like the idea that it's family style right now, that actually made it better. We've eaten at Ohana many times. This time was the food quality seemed better, and you could just relax a little bit instead of feeling like the food is just moving around you and you're kind of rushing or being rushed through your meal. This was much more calm. And the food was excellent. Just probably our favorite meal of the trip. And we had some really good meals.
That's good to hear, because I've heard kind of mixed on Ohana since it's reopened. You know, I haven't eaten there yet. It's one of those meals that I went there. I think the last time I went there was after Marathon 2020.
Okay.
So the last marathon before the world shut down. Well, I did Princess, and then the world shut down really after Princess, because that was in February. But it was like, it was just so, I felt like it was just so expensive, you know, because I was there by myself, and it was like $60. Again, I'm from the Midwest, you know, prices here are very reasonable. And I mean, I saw this in Chicago, though, right? There's a couple weekends ago when I was up there running, is that when you look at prices in a major metropolitan area like Chicago, the prices for Disney are not high compared to what you're paying in Chicago. They're like the same, you know, so you can't be shocked at, you know, because I think a lot of us, you know, you see sticker shock when you go to Disney and you buy like a bottle of, you know, Coke or a bottle of water or, you know, a burger and fries. That's what it is in Chicago, but in St. Louis, it's not. It just because, you know, I think that's what's, you know, we all are in different places listening to this podcast. And you know, I mean, it's just part of travel, you know, it's just it's part of the experience. But yeah, I got to give that another shot, though, because I do like the food. My problem is, though, is that I like it so much that I eat so much that it hurts, because it's like, it's so good.
You really have to pace yourself, because you can wind up like just getting a gut bomb, you know. So one thing that did help, my daughter and I went out to watch the fireworks, so we took a pause, and then when we came back, then it was time for dessert. So we had a little digestion break, but we ate at Kona twice while we were there with the Katanga toast. And we ordered, I mean, we were at the pool every afternoon for hours, and we would just order drinks. The kids were walking up to the Pineapple Lanai area and just getting, they both are not Dole Whip people, but they were getting like the orange whips and the vanilla ice cream. And those two have no problem using that magic band to charge things to the room. I mean, it was very easy for them. We wound up getting into Trader Sam's. That was another fun thing. Like, so we stopped by there when they were first opening in the afternoon on a Saturday, and we just checked in. We're like, hey, how long? They said about 3 hours. We were like, all right, great. Put our name on the list. We went to the pool for a couple of hours. We left. The sky was just turning gray. We all went up to the room, showered. Our Trader Sam's was ready. By the time we walked in, it started storming. We completely missed the storm while we were in Trader Sam's. And then when we walked out, we took the path and we walked over to the Magic Kingdom and saw our fireworks again. I mean, it was just like, that was our timing for everything.
With that too, I mean, if you're staying at the Polynesian and you're not doing what you just said, you're not doing it right, because I mean, you're paying a premium to stay there. But if you're staying there and you're spending 12 hours in the Magic Kingdom, which is okay for maybe 1 or 2 of the days of your trip, but I mean, if you're not taking a pool day or exploring Trader Sam's, the Pineapple Lanai, or walking the grounds at night with the torches going, or eating at Kona or Captain Cook's or Ohana, what have you? I mean, the thing is, that's the Polynesian Village experience.
Exactly.
It sounds like you guys really knew what to take in, and you did, and you got that. And I worry that so many people that stay there see it as like, oh, well, it's accommodations. And it's not. I mean, it's a resort. It's a place to enjoy and explore.
It is truly a resort. And I think what we love is like, we loved all of the options, even for travel. So we took the ferry a bunch of times to the Magic Kingdom, but we also walked over to Ticket and Transportation and, and got over to Epcot. We walked to the Grand Floridian and got on the monorail and, traveled that way. But we also walked the path from the Poly all the way to the Magic Kingdom. We had some flexibility because of where we were staying, and because we don't mind walking anywhere. So, but we got to take advantage of all those different things. The monorail wasn't reopened yet at the Polynesian, so we didn't get to use it. But we just really tried to take advantage of all of it. And it was truly the most wonderful place. We were so sad.
So you mentioned though some of your good meals, and you've mentioned a couple, California Grill, Ohana, Kona.
Yes.
Where else stood out for you guys at the time?
Let's see. Skipper Canteen, fantastic. We had never been to Mama Melrose before, and because we were always like, we're in South Jersey, we have Italian food everywhere, and it is excellent.
That's my secret place for before the marathon.
I know.
The night before the marathon.
It was so good. It's so good. Like, even for us who are used to epic Italian, it was delicious. And again, dodged a storm in that one. We walked in, it started pouring. We walked out, the sky was clear. Like, the gods of Disney were really, truly smiling on us while we were traveling. So that place was great. We love Chef de France. Fantastic. Those were just, a few. We mobile ordered everything that we possibly could. And I learned one lesson standing outside of one of the place by Trader Sam's to get your Dole Whip. Oh, I forget what that place is called, but
the pineapple or whatever.
Yeah. So we were standing out there, and I was like, "Oh, guys, the line's not so bad. We'll just wait in line. There's only 3 people or something in front of us." Like 30 minutes later, we were still standing in the line. And if we just mobile ordered it, we would have gotten it like in a heartbeat. So, we mobile ordered Satuli Canteen, every single food that we ate, hotel or in the parks, we started just using mobile order. And it was fantastic.
So we're getting ready to wrap this up, but let me ask you, because you're a super Disney fan and you have all these experiences. I want to ask you about some of the stuff that has come out since your trip.
Okay.
And it's going to, because obviously you're going to be back, and like Genie Plus and all this, like, what are your, we can't go into like a dissertation on this, but in general, I mean, with paid fast pass returning, we, because this was a trip, obviously no fast pass. It was all standby, but the gods are in our favor lately because the crowds haven't been bad, but the crowds are returning. And so I don't know, like, what do you think? I mean, we got new fireworks shows. We have Genie Plus coming online here soon. I mean, what are your thoughts about, how things are going here in the last couple of months?
I'm a little lukewarm on some of it, honestly. There was something delightful about being able to book fast passes, and you had a little bit of an advantage if you were staying on the property. And I always feel like, Disney would reward you if you did your research. If you didn't do your research, you're out of luck. But there was no excuse for not doing research because it's everywhere. So I felt like that was something that was really great. I don't know how I feel about the paid fast passes. I've been reading, and part of me feels like I want to not do it because I don't want to spend even more money. Right. And it just feels like we're giving an advantage to more spending. I don't know. And actually, I know Ricky's always talking about not wanting fast passes. It was not bad to have everybody just walking through the standby. In a lot of ways, I felt like we wound up going faster because there wasn't that human element of, oh, wait, I got to let this many people in the fast pass line go. So then you're standing in standby like, what about us? And So there was something kind of nice and pure about that I really enjoyed. So I don't know, but I'm excited about a lot of the rides that are, the Ratatouille ride opening and the Guardians of the Galaxy that'll be coming on, and the Tron just looks incredible. So I think there's a lot of really good things there, but I don't want them to start nickel and diming even more than, some of the things that have already started happening.
No, I'm with you, and I'm excited because I was just down for the 50th just a couple weekends ago, and it was exciting because you're celebrating the history of the parks and how this was, Florida swampland 50 years ago, and how it has grown into what it is. It's a place I love, and I've fallen in love with it each and every time that I've gone, and how it's developed, and even all the new stuff. Like I was down, got to dine at Steakhouse 71, which years ago was an arcade. It was a big old, just basically an afterthought arcade. Great restaurant, awesome servers, great food. Space 220 blew my mind. You talked about going over to Kennedy Space Center. It was more than a meal. It was an experience. It was like an experience where they served you really good food at the same time. It was just something that it was so Disney, because it wasn't just a meal, it was a show. It was an experience. It was a whole thing. And they keep doing that. And I'm sure Guardians of the Galaxy coaster is going to be like that. Tron, I'm super excited for Tron for some reason. It's an 80s movie. I'm an 80s guy. So I'm excited. There's a lot of stuff coming, but I'm exactly with you, because when I fell in love with Walt Disney World, this is just the time period I am, and just kind of my philosophy on kind of how I fiscally see myself, is that the way I loved Disney and fell in love with it was back, and I don't know if you traveled in these days, but back when I first started going to Disney, you bought a package, and you bought a hotel for like 7 nights, and it came with like a 7-night, it was called the Ultimate Park Hopper ticket. So it was equal to the number of nights you were at your hotel. You got 7 tickets if you stayed 7 nights, and you could do whatever you wanted in those 7 days. Like you could go to any parks, you go to the water parks, you go to Disney Quest. It's just, the world is your oyster for those 7 days. You don't think about anything. Now they changed it to those Magic Your Way tickets, because like they said, some people don't want to have to go to Disney Quest, or some people don't go to water parks, and basically you are paying for that, because you're paying for everything. But the reason I like cruises is because it's all inclusive, right? I like to get on the ship. Everything's paid for. I can get a steak if I want, because if I have to look at the prices, sometimes I won't get a steak. I'll get That's just how my brain works, and that's it's terrible. That's me. And so I'm one of those kind of people that, like you, I'm going to wait and see how it works out. Will I buy Genie Plus? Probably sometimes. Probably not all the time. There'll be sometimes if it's going to keep me out of lines, of course. I don't wait in the line either. But I'll wait and see. I do trust Disney, and I want it to work out, but I'm the same way as you. Like, I would rather have, just kind of like, let's pay for the vacation and let's go have fun, and not have to constantly think about, like, what's the value proposition in this and this. And this. Let's go have fun. When I get there, let's go to those gates. Let's go have fun.
Yeah. And and you can tell from the way that the things that we did on this trip, we are very happy to spend if we need to, if it's something that we are going to love. We loved the dessert party for Happily Ever After. We got to do that. It was fantastic. I was like, absolutely, we will buy that again. Like, we love doing things that feel like they are truly worth the value, even if they're expensive. I'm going to be curious to see how this goes, and we've gotten to do the marquee rides already enough times. Rise we've done several times. We've had our experiences, but I also don't think the $15 a day is that big of a deal either. So, I think we'll just have to wait and see. We're going to be going back in February again, this time with like my whole family for 4 days, and we'll just kind of see what the future holds for us.
And I'll be there, for Wine and Dine weekend here, the second weekend of November, by myself solo. So it's a good chance to kind of try this out, because I'm not doing it. This is why I like it. I'm not doing it for 4 people. This is like when I go to a restaurant, right? For one.
It's much more palatable.
Exactly. Those trips are a little easier to kind of experiment.
We'll
see how, I'll give my thoughts, because I am pretty frugal, but I also, the thing is, you don't want to go 95% of the way, and because you're unwilling to spend a couple extra bucks, kind of blow the whole trip. You've already got, you spent the big budget for this whole great trip, and you don't want to not spend the extra couple of bucks to not have a really great over the top experience. We'll see how it goes. You just got to kind of, see, just round it into the whole, package. But we'll see, again, but I'm old school, and I just got to let that go. The Ultimate Park. Don't let it go.
It's always, there's always new things. I asked my 16-year-old, like, what do you want me to make sure I tell Mike? And she said, make sure you tell everybody how fantastic the food was, and that just get the snacks, like buy anything that looks good, just do it, because it's vacation and the food was fantastic. We had so much fun trying all the different things. We tried all of these desserts and treats and like savory things at Food and Wine, and like it was just so much fun. The restaurants were so fun, and then we save on certain things. Like I will never buy bottled water, because I know that if you walk up to any stand that has a fountain in it, they will give you a free cup of water, as many as you want. So there's no buying bottled water. So we save that, and we buy like, another popcorn, or we buy like a Cheshire Cat tail, or we buy another thing at Food and Wine. So
it's way better. One of those tails is way better than bottled water.
Right, exactly. You got to stretch your Disney dollar wherever you can.
Looks way better on Instagram too. Just saying.
All right, for sure.
That has been a fun show. It's got me starving, by the way. I gotta go down to the donut shop now after recording this podcast, because now you got me in the mood for one of those things. But it's been a great time. You had a great trip, and I sure appreciate you taking the time to record this show. And thanks for always listening to the podcast. I sure appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's just my favorite. I'm so excited.
All right. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by The Magic for Less Travel. Check them out for all your Disney trip planning needs. You can see all of the great trip planning tools right there on your browser, themagicforless.com. Just check it out. While you're there, fill out that quote form. Just put down some dates and a possible resort or two. Just saying, the Polynesian Wilderness Lodge, 2 pretty good choices. If you're looking for resorts, not a bad idea. But if you're a Pop Century guy like me, I'm not going to shame you. That's where I stay. It's a great place too. So just fill out that quote form, mention the show. We'll take great care of you. I promise you that. So check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link as the Christmas and holiday season comes quickly. Apparently, if you want to get your stuff, you had to order it like a couple months ago, sad to say. But hey, you can still give it a go here. So when you shop on Amazon, use our Amazon affiliate link this holiday season, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our patrons. You guys support the show. You allow us to put the show out 3 to 4 times each week all around the world. Couldn't do it without you. And our patrons get a bonus show every Thursday called Mike in the Midwest. Check it out and get in on the action over at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give us a follow on the social media. I'm at beourguestmike on Instagram and Twitter. Would love to say hello to you this week. Also, subscribe to the show on Facebook and YouTube. You'll get a notification when we go live. And speaking of live, this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, we'll be taking your calls on Facebook and YouTube and talking Disney, whatever you want to talk about. It's up to you. All right, we're going to get out of here and let you get on with your week. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the show and joining us. Hope you're having a great Monday already. So for Kristin, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Monday. Whatever you do, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. All righty, that was a good one. Thank you so much. Your dog came in right as my dog was right here. Cracking up because I saw your dog peek through the door. And
yeah.
Desk at the exact same time. That was hilarious.
That's so cute.
Something new. It was too funny. What kind of dog?
That's great. They said English cream golden.
How cute. Your dog is super cute. Uh-oh, what happened? Whew, glad I got that done though. I don't know what happened there. All of a sudden we're gone. No, that's fine. No, I was like, oh, I was like, because I was saving the podcast. Like, oh my God, tell me I didn't lose the show. That just gave me a brief heart attack there, but it was just the feed. Okay. Whew.
Yeah, it's our internet sometimes too. But yeah, he's an English cream. He's 5, and
yep, Riley, she's out. She gets bored with the podcast. She's asleep right behind the screen here.
That's great. Like, yeah, he's in the hallway.
I'm done. Oh no, she looked at me. Oh, she's
good.
Over.
Oh, that's done. Great.
Well, thanks for taking the time to be out late on Sunday night, so you can they'll be there for you to check out.
Wow, that's so exciting. I love it. Thank you so much, Mike. We had a great time. Or I had a great time.
When you have another trip, just let me know. We'll do it again.
I will do that. Thank you so much. You take care.
Good night. Take care.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.